In a vast forest where the trees brushed the sky and the rivers carved their own stubborn paths, there lived a young eagle named Carl. Carl was not the strongest in the sky. He was not the fastest. And he was certainly not the favorite. The older eagles sliced through the air with effortless precision, rising above mountains as if the wind belonged to them. Carl struggled just to stay balanced. Every time he tried to climb higher, the wind shoved him back. He would flap harder, the wind would answer harder, and eventually, he would fall, not dramatically, just quietly, into the dust. Some birds laughed, some looked away. A crow once said, "Maybe you're not meant for the sky." The words stayed longer than the bruises. One evening, exhausted and defeated, Carl stood at the edge of a cliff. Below him stretched the valley, safe, predictable, ordinary. Above him waited the sky, wide, demanding, unforgiving. He thought about giving up. Walking was easier. The ground never pushed back. The ground never embarrassed you. But the ground also never let you rise. Something inside him refused to accept a small life. The next morning, Carl stopped chasing height. He began chasing control, short flights, steady turns, careful landings. Instead of fighting the wind, he studied it. He learned its rhythm, its resistance, its patterns. While others competed for altitude, Carl trained for mastery. Some days he felt powerful, other days he felt foolish. But he returned to the edge anyway. No applause, no audience, just repetition. And slowly, he realized, motivation made him leap. Consistency kept him flying. Rain soaked his feathers. Cold winds stiffened his wings. Lonely mornings tested his resolve. The other eagles flew in groups. Carl often trained alone. Growth can feel isolating, not because you are weak, but because you are becoming different. Still, he showed up, again and again and again. Then the storm arrived, not a simple breeze, a violent force that bent trees and darkened the sky. Birds panicked. Wings flapped wildly. Even the strongest eagles struggled to stay steady. Carl felt fear. The wind hit him hard, the same wind that once threw him into the dust. For a moment, he almost retreated. But this time, he remembered the quiet mornings, the controlled flights, the countless falls. Instead of fighting the storm, he adjusted. He tilted his wings. He moved with the wind, not against it. And suddenly, the storm lifted him, higher than he had ever flown. Not because the wind had changed, but because he had. For the first time, the sky did not feel unreachable. It felt earned. When the storm passed, the forest looked up. They saw Carl soaring calmly above the valley. The same crow whispered, "He's lucky." They hadn't seen the falls, the loneliness, the discipline when nobody watched. They saw the height. They never saw the preparation. Carl understood something in that moment. The wind was never his enemy. The storm was never punishment. The sky never lowered its standards. He had simply grown strong enough to meet them. And this is where the story stops being about an eagle. Because you are Carl. Your wind may be rejection. Your storm may be failure. Your cliff may be fear. And right now, you might be standing at the edge, wondering if it's easier to stay on the ground. But the ground will never give you growth. The hard truth about success is this: it is not glamorous. It is lonely. It is repetitive. It tests your patience more than your talent. Failure is not humiliation. It is training. Loneliness is not weakness. It is sharpening. And success does not belong to the most motivated. It belongs to the one who keeps returning to the edge, even after falling. One day, people will look at your life and say, "You're lucky." They will see how high you fly. but only you will remember the dust. Only you will remember the wind that almost broke you. And that memory will remind you that you didn't rise because life became easier. You rose because you became stronger. So if you're struggling right now, don't quit. If you're falling, learn. If you're alone, grow. Because the same wind pushing against you today may be the very force that lifts you tomorrow. If this story spoke to you, like this video and subscribe for more stories that don't just inspire, they transform. And remember, the sky is not the limit. Your endurance is.